Hot take. Being a business owner is more than just the business. Hi everyone! For those of you who don't know me, my name is Shelbe and I'm the face behind RedBird Media Co. I just want to take an opportunity to introduce myself and let you get to know a little bit about me and my backstory, as well as what led me into RedBird and my reason why. So I'm Oklahoma born and raised. I live here on family property next to my mom and my grandparents. My daddy and my grandpa gave me an acre to put my double wide dream on. So now I live here in the Dolly house and have a pink front door and a matching pink mailbox. I live here with my two dogs, Amy and Dean. They're both beagles. So you can imagine that my house stays pretty noisy most of the time. Growing up, my mom was a stay-at-home mom and my dad owned a transmission shop. He and his business partner had a few different shops throughout the Tulsa area. Not only did he own them, but he also worked in them and built transmissions himself and, did the dirty work also. And so I grew up in a house that was not just blue collar, but entrepreneurial as well. My passion for photography started in high school. I'm actually from Instagram. I had downloaded it whenever it first started, and at that point in time, it was for photographers to showcase their work. It was just cool to get to see other people's art, and the more and more that I saw, the more I was like, yeah, that's something that I want to do. I want to try, and so we just kind of picked up from there. As for music's always been a passion of mine. Ever since I was a little kid, I just have always loved music and always hungry to find new artists to listen to and wanting to delve into the meaning behind songs or the story of the artist. I remember putting in this English project that I had my senior year that I wanted to figure out a way to blend photography and music, and that I just wasn't really quite sure how it was to do that. Partway through my senior year, my parents kind of pulled me aside to talk to me about what I wanted to do with my life, basically, and what my aspirations were as far as college went and what I was thinking. I told them that I was kind of bouncing back and forth between psychology and becoming a teacher, and because I thought those were, steady career paths to take. And I remember my dad kind of surprised me and said, well, have you thought about photography? And it's not very often that you have a blue-collar dad that supports their kid in the arts, so it really did surprise me on that. And my mom was right there with him on it, and I told them that it was something that I had thought about, but I was trying to make a practical decision, and they both were very supportive about me following my passion and something that I truly loved and cared for, and finding my career path in that. And so for that, I'm very grateful. And because of them, I did go to college for photography. I actually went to OSU Institute of Technology and got my associates in applied science and photography. We had this editorial class, and that was the first time that I really felt like I connected with the work that I was creating. And it was something that just came natural to me. I didn't have to overthink or overwork this scenario. I was able to just find people in these moments and tell their story. And so that was something that just really resonated with me. Fast forward to the end of college, and by that point, I was really just burnt out with photography. And so I did step away for a while. And over the next few years, I would dabble here and there, but it just never felt like it was the right time. And I always struggled in finding clients and keeping the drive, and it just was never the right fit. But I kept trying to do the wrong thing. Instead of following those things that I naturally was inclined to, I was trying to make myself a wedding photographer or newborn photographer or a family photographer. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy those to an extent, but it just wasn't me, and it wasn't something that I was actively passionate about or could keep myself pursuing outside of doing it for friends and family. So I just walked away from it for a while. I actually got started into recruiting, and I started as a college recruiter for OSUIT. I was there for a couple of years, and then got burnt out from being on the road, and so stepped away. And over that next year, I was in a relationship that ended very poorly. I was basically restarting my life over again, and I got a new job and went back into recruiting and started working with a trucking company, and started going to concerts again because I hadn't been to one in over a year. And the first one that I went to was Muscadine Bloodline. And this was a very small show. I mean, this is 2019 at Tumbleweed in Stillwater. Gary and Charlie are just the greatest guys. And I'm very grateful to them and what their music has meant to me over the years. They reminded me of why I loved music, why I love going to shows. And so from then on, I just started going to any and every show that I could possibly make it to. Shortly after that is when COVID hit. And so then I kind of took a step back from the concert scene, and because there wasn't anything happening. And then as soon as things started opening back up, I just went even harder. I go to shows and really just started taking any travel options that I could find to go to shows. I went everywhere from Corpus Christi to Las Vegas, Lincoln, Nebraska to Nashville, and anywhere in between. And so I started making really great connections going to shows too, because I started just going to like smaller shows. I got to start meeting a lot of artists and getting to know them as people versus just being, my favorite singer or my favorite band. And so that was just really cool to get to experience and um, have those stories to tell. I always joke that I'm going to be the coolest grandma. During this time, I start to kind of delve back into photography a little bit. And again, doing like the family portrait style photography. And I had a local artist from here reach out to me and asked me about doing some promo videos for his music. I talked to my dad about it and told him that it was something that I was just really nervous about. He just asked me, he said, well, what could it hurt to try? He said, it's two things that you love and that you're passionate about. And why not try it? He said, you spent all this time building up these connections and spending your time going to these shows. So what would it hurt? He said, you never know where it could take you. And I wish that I had taken his advice in that moment. And instead, I just kind of backed out a little bit, and I just got in my head too much, About a month later, I was in Nashville for my birthday at a Muscadine show, and was texting my parents telling them about what an amazing show it was and how genuine the boys still were. And I mean, this is now 2022, and they still remembered me. They remembered my name. Just wholesome. My dad texted me back saying how cool it was. So the next day, we went to the Country Music Hall of Fame and went back to the Airbnb to take a nap. And we were looking for where to go for dinner. And I got the call from my mom. I got the call from my mom that my dad had passed, and it was very unexpected. Um, it was very unexpected, but I know that everything happens for a reason. Even the sucky things in life, I just had to use that as motivation moving forward. A couple months later, the trucking company that I was working for started going through a acquisition. They started transitioning my role into more of a marketing position. And marketing wasn't something that I'd ever considered, because quite honestly, I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't really even know what it was or what it entailed. And the more that I was taking on, the more that I started to enjoy it. So I started doing more on data analysis and working with advertisers and figuring out how to brand our company in the best way, and um, what got drivers interested in our company. About that time, I started to realize that maybe this was the way that I was able to connect photography and music together, and I could use those connections that I had to start diving more into things. And so I actually got with a friend of mine, Kyle Main, and we started making content together. And because he was just starting to get into the local scene, and I was wanting to start doing photo and video work, and so we just kind of teamed up together to really just push ourselves to build something. At this point, we're entering the year mark of my dad passing, and I just kept hearing his voice, and I knew I needed to take that initiative and take that step, and that was something that he wanted me to do. I reached out to my buddy Casey West. He was playing a show at Vanguard here in Tulsa, and I said, "Hey, I really want to try my hand at concert photography. It's not something that I've ex- that have any experience in, but it's something that I want to do, and I really like that chance if you're open to it." And he told me to come on out. That night is whenever it's really started, and I spent the next few months just reaching out to connections that I'd made through the music scene, and um, started going to shows and taking photos. I mean, I figured I'm already going to be there. Might as well get some content into. It was like this full circle moment for me, because it was that dream I had from high school of doing photo and video and mixing that in with music. And then also that passion from college of doing editorial and getting to tell stories. And then also this area of my full-time job that I didn't even realize that I was interested in doing the data analysis and marketing. It all just kind of came together, and now RedBird is here. I started RedBird in April, and it picked up so quick and way quicker than what I could have imagined it to. I've found my calling now, and that's getting to work with small business owners like my dad was, and artists and local musicians, and getting to tell their story and their reason why. That's what RedBird's all about. RedBird just made sense from the get-go as the name, because that was my mom's sign that he was checking in. And I thought, what better way to, honor him in this business that he pushed me in and that he wanted me to go for. What I want to do here at RedBird is more than just taking photos or creating TikToks or social media management or whatever it may be that you need in the visual aspect of things, and in marketing. But what I want to do is I want to tell your story. I want to tell it in a way that is completely authentic to you. And I don't mean your brand story, I mean your story, the person behind the brand. I think something that gets lost sometimes in building a brand and telling the story of a brand, whether that's small business, whether that is an artist. I think something that gets lost sometimes is the person that's behind the brand. Hot take: being a business owner is more than just the business. There's a whole spectrum of who you are that goes into the business. That's not the business itself. I want to work with people that are transparent and that want to tell their full story, and want to have that connection with their fan base, with their client base, whatever it may be. And I want to support people's passions, not their business. That's what I want to promote. That's what we do here at RedBird. I think it'd make me hypocritical if I didn't share my journey and my story and every aspect of my life, because being a business owner, again, is more than just the business. There's so much more that goes into it and juggling it. And so, whether you're following along because I'm someone you want to work with down the road, or you just want some inspiration or connection to someone else as you go through your own business venture, then come along and I welcome you to the journey. Welcome to the nest.